Alrighty, so here I am making another video. I found a lot more artwork in my archives here, and some of this stuff is older, some is newer, so I'm gonna just shoot the whole thing and then maybe re-edit the video, see if I can put it in chronological order. But anyway, these are some drawings that I had done after school. After I graduated college, I started getting into science fiction, but I also wanted to integrate culture into my sci-fi ideas. I would go to the Museum of Natural History, the Metropolitan, and do my designs and ideas there. So here's one of the pages. So here's another page here, some character designs I was doing. I was really interested in maybe working on the new Star Wars films back in the day before Phantom Menace. But so these are some drawings, I still like the idea of using culture. I think that could be something I want to keep doing. I redesigned the Ewoks for Star Wars, so I thought of them as maybe these little stop motion monkeys. So anyway, these are just some character designs that I was doing for my portfolio back in the day. Yeah, so I was very influenced by culture, some of the costume sketches and things, and playing around with different media. Kind of miss these days, actually, in a kind of funny way, but at least I have them, more characters, creatures, but I was very adamant about trying to find some way of integrating culture into their designs. So, wow, forgot about all these. I was kind of redesigning C-3PO, but having more Asian influence. This is something I'm thinking about trying to actually create in ZBrush one of these days. A lot of culture back when I first graduated college. Here's another one of those monkey drawings. I should put these in order. But yeah, same idea, character design, then going to the Museum of Natural History and thinking of ways to embellish these character designs. And this was all done with Crayola crayons back in the day, and a little bit of the oil crayon, I think, for the black, just to get the black really, really harsh. More character designs. I got basically people arms and armor with machine guns, but there is some figure drawing influence, I think, hopefully in there. It's not just copying armor. And the color, this is all, again, just Crayola crayon. I think I used to use some of this gold paint that I got from the craft store too. So having this, these ideas, it's giving me ideas right now for my home project. For my new project, I should say. Yeah, more of this stuff. Wow, I'm surprised I have all this stuff here. Creatures, car engines mixed with costume. This is probably one of my first characters that I did when I got out of college. Because we weren't really encouraged to do science fiction, comic books, animation, stuff like that in our school. So when I graduated, I was like, okay, now I can finally get into this stuff. But it was very highly influenced by the fine art. So I'm always really grateful that I didn't do comics and cartoons and all that in school, but I was able to then later on incorporate that into my characters later. Wow, it's crazy. I forgot about this. Looking at science fiction. You can do this in a second in ZBrush, but it is fun to kind of draw it and paint it. Why not? So I guess this was the portfolio that I was carrying around when I got hired at Disney to do to do cleanup on Hercules. But having done all this, I really was adamant about getting out of that department and getting into the visual development. Although I think I probably would have been better off in live action, for sure. Anyway. And this is actually crazy. This is the very, very first creature design page I ever did. Again, I graduated school. I had this idea. I knew, incorporating anatomy and creatures, it just seemed to make sense. And I was just, able to kind of start banging these out, I think just doing creatures and rendering after a while can be a little boring. I gotta break it up with some other thing. This one's terrible right here. But anyway, so that's that. Alrighty, so this is another one. This is an actual painting. Mahoney did a painting. I don't believe it. So yeah, these are some paintings I had done. I think I'm taking a background painting class. I don't know, but these are just some. I kind of like the mood of this stuff, though. I should incorporate this into my work now. Funny because I taped this off. I should have pulled the tape off like years ago. Anyway, but yeah, you use wet. You wet the whole. I think it's like cold press illustration board, and then you wet it, and then when you put the gouache on there, things kind of blend in really nicely, and it creates this mood. I should do this. I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to try to use this technique for my film now I think about it. Anyway, that's that. Okay, so then we're going to jump back a million years. This is my very first character design. Doesn't have a date, but I think it was after Star Wars, obviously, because it has the R2-D2 influence. Death, D-E-T-H. So I was probably maybe 10. Like I was 10 years old when I did this masterpiece. And I remember thinking when I did this, I was like, oh my God, maybe I should just give up art. It's horrible. Even as a 10-year-old, I knew how bad it was. And then this is probably, all these drawings are probably between age 10 and 15. Obviously women, puberty. Blues Brothers. This was done maybe like a week before John Belushi passed away. So I was really shocked. So I did this drawing and, very, very sad. Another drawing, Private Benjamin. Look at this. I was drawing in direct pen, which is a good thing, but whenever I made a mistake, you can see I would just fold the paper over and then try to fix it. So I have my mistake saved all these years. This is drawn from a photograph. It looks pretty good. This is drawn from my head. That's a tank. All right, it looks like so it's the separation between looking and drawing out of my head. I felt guilty looking, but what I should have done is just kept using reference. It's okay to use reference. Don't be so hard on yourself. Okay, let's see. Wow, I haven't seen this in a million years. I think I must have been 10, or maybe younger, maybe 9. Because I hate sports of all kinds, so why would I be drawing football? Unless I'm 9. But yeah, there's no data on here. So, so that's some children's work. And then we're going to jump ahead. I'll re-edit this video anyway, but some other drawings. This is some reportage drawings. Drawing a friend. Oh, please. A friend. And this is a lot of the work I had done after school. I was really into these Crayola crayons. I want to get back to this soon. But there's something about the 64 box and just really putting it down, not being too careful about it. Reportage, you just can't tell which way it is. This was looking down at a shopping mall. I guess I can do it sideways here. It's a terrible drawing. But I like the black shapes and stuff. I don't really like shopping malls, quite honestly. So yeah, now I would build it in ZBrush. Life drawing from life. And a lot of times I would draw people around the room, around the classroom. Another friend of mine, Stevie was her name, I believe. Here's a cute little drawing that's stuck there. I didn't see that. So yeah, whenever I had a chance, I always try to sneak in a little bit of the fluorescent paint. Pratt So that was, I guess, drawn back at school, back in school days. Yeah, this is just another friend here. This was, drawings, reportage, we call them, I guess. But this is in the Dave Pozzolacqua School for Art. And open this up, make it easier. So I would draw people drawing. So we did this in Florida. We were drawing Florida Disney. We draw all around the theme parks and all that, and hopefully learn how to draw. This is some of the work I had done probably senior year of college, and this is the direction that I told my senior teacher I wanted to do. He thought I was crazy, he wanted to throw me out of the department. But I like the idea of this rough sketches rather than a finished illustration. That was the main, this is long before people had something called entertainment design. But I got a lot of friction for this because it doesn't look good, but the idea of doing concept art. So this led to me trying to find the book, The Art of Star Wars. I saw it as a kid. I didn't want to look at it because I just wanted to believe in the movie. But then later on I realized that's the book that I really need to get myself going. It took me 11 years to find that book. 11 years. I finally found it, and that's when I started the Star Wars portfolio, and that's what got me going. Was finally finding that book. Doodle. I guess you might call these paintings. But they're drawings that were painted with oil, and you can see how the oil just like bled through in all these areas. So yeah, trying all these different things. Some things work, some things don't. Paint just never worked for me. Pushing oil paint around just never, ever worked for me. And high school, trying to do this was a assignment in perspective. Maybe, I don't know why, but I had to do an assignment in perspective. Maybe it was a college entrance exam. There's nothing in perspective here. It's R2-D2 is totally flat. This is anti-perspective. Why? I don't know. Here's some drawings. In college, I was looking at Jeff Jones, and I still love his work. Should have looked at his work a lot more. These are some very tiny paintings, but actually good to see how small I was working. I would do these little tiny mood paintings, I guess. And then there's little thumbnails and things here looking at different cultures. I'm going to save these. I might want to do more of these tiny little things. High school, so this may have been in my portfolio when I was applying to Pratt Institute, which is kind of funny. So yeah, definitely not a mover and shaker. I'm grateful they let me in. Let's see, what else do we have here? Some of these are getting stuck together. Ooh, some of these paintings to haunt me. Paintings here again. Little figures, and this was maybe done for Kingdom of the Sun. Emperor's New Groove. Anyway, and this is a painting that I had done when I was in college, I guess. This is my dorm room. One of the few paintings that survived. Abstract. Okay, so there's quite a potpourri of different things here. I was really trying to get into fashion, except for that cartoony face. The whole thing is cartoony. But yeah, that's something I still have on my list of things I'd love to do. Backgrounds, abstract crap. This is crap. And this little doodles. Why am I making these videos? I don't know. I think sometimes people have asked, where did your style come from? And this might give you a clue based on some of these earlier drawings. Maybe not. You do it new. These are more animation type drawings. A little monkey. I think I was studying King Louis from Jungle Book. You can see I was always making notes, criticizing myself, you know, in this type of stuff. I thought maybe I'd be interested in getting into animation, Disney. So that was a strange time for me. Drawings from photographs, you know, direct ink. This was looking at the artist Hans Bellmer. So I copied a little bit of his work. A lot of the confidence that I get, that I've acquired with my line work, was based on studying Hans Bellmer. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He's pretty creepy. Drawing. This is a photocopy. So I'm trying to throw away all of my photocopies. So I'll throw this away right now. But more creature designs. Put that in the garbage pile. People. Okay. This drawing day, I think, was kind of a turning point for me, I remember. Because this was after I graduated college, and I said to myself, I want to draw as if I'm making a coloring book. And it really encouraged me to draw these very, very clean lines, because I kept thinking coloring book. This is my friend Sandy here, and this is, I can't remember her name, but she was in our class as well. Anyway, but it changed me. It kind of made me focus on line. So this was the very first drawings right here. Reportage. Oh my God. This is me in college trying to do something. I don't know. But you can see how goofy the figures were. And I know my teacher, especially Pazlaka, was really adamant to me to get the goofiness out of my work. And he was totally right. But it took a while. It took a while, to say the least, to try to get it out. Now, I could stay this way, like this bowed type of style, but it wasn't where I needed to go. It wasn't where I think my work is best at, I think. So it's good that he pounded it out of me. My friend Marianne, if she's watching the video, it's a little drawing of her. Creepy character. Now some of these are probably a little bit older, so I'm kind of jumping around the timeline. I don't know what the heck this is. It's horrible. Here's another painting. You know, kind of like a little bit of a, am I gonna try something with these? I forgot about these. Alrighty, so yeah, here's a few more drawings. I decided to just put the pile here, that way I don't have this gray background every time I'm sliding a drawing away. My friend Marianne, right here. This drawing is terrible, come on. Put that in the garbage. So yeah, some other little thumbnail sketches, little doodles. I'm gonna kind of move a little quicker. I was looking at Ronald Searle right here for some of these drawings. I was looking at Henry Moore here, and how he kind of divides the shapes of the figures and things like that, and trying to incorporate that into science fiction. Yes, these are figure drawings, but you know, trying to experiment with the figure as best that I could. And I would write these sayings that I would put up on my walls all the time, you know, trying to motivate myself. Again, maybe looking a little bit at Jeff Jones here. Jeffrey, thumbnails. So this was you know, some of these very complicated drawings that I would do much later on after I graduated, probably after even Disney. This one doesn't work, I think, because the starting point was so wacky that you have nowhere to go. So it's good to have something more concrete to start with, but anyway, sometimes they get away. This one, I was, you know, probably thinking even more about like 1960s, 70s psychedelic art, which is fine, but I think the figure itself is, again, just so goofy that there's nothing to anchor the image on. So I definitely, looking at this, wouldn't mind doing more of these. And just, trying to do a good drawing and then having fun with the psychedelic stuff afterwards. Not sure if you can kind of make this out, but I started to really try to focus on drawing better. So really slowing down with hands and feet and just the volume of the body. It's a very light drawing, but one of my better drawings, I think. Figure drawing here. Figure drawing here. Again, they're hard to see, but I kind of like these drawings in a way. Just in using brush, which I never use brush, never. Again, back to some of my concept designs. This is a bad page. Backgrounds, I was thinking of maybe hopefully working on Star Wars. Ironically, when I saw the new, well, I don't want to give away, but I don't want to say anything. I don't want to give away anything. Scratch that. Yeah, just some kind of drawing. I don't know. Just weird stuff. This was drawn in Epcot, I believe. Epcot Center, and I was just trying to start incorporating some of his mechanical stuff. Wasn't working, but it ended up eventually finding its way into ZBrush and then to the Zentropa comic book. This was interesting. Not that this is an amazing image, but I used to photograph my stuff onto plastic, like transparent plastic. And by mistake, I put two pieces of plastic together and it created this strange thing, which I kind of liked back then. So it kind of influenced the stuff that I was doing later on, where I'm using multiple figures and putting them together in strange ways. That's not good. Then there's just some line drawings here. I can kind of speed through these. Yeah. Some drawings required no explanation. Reportage sketching. Yeah, here's my thumbnails, and here's like a reportage. A lot of these drawings, I don't even remember doing them. This drawing I remember liking for some strange reason. Pencil drawing of a person, but really kind of loose. Yeah, this one too. I don't usually use pencil that much. I kind of like this series. I don't know why. Maybe I'll stick them in a frame. And then I remember really liking this drawing for some reason. It's too light. You probably can't even see it. Drawing, painting, coloring it red. Why, I don't know. And this was black line, but over the years it turned green. So now I've got kind of Christmassy color here. Figure drawings. These aren't bad, actually. Those hands are pretty good. I think they're better than the hands I do now. Anyway, again, more cultural type of things. Anyway, thank you anyone who's actually spending their time sitting through this. I appreciate, people taking interest in this stuff. This was actually, I was sketching, I had a project where I may have been working on the boards for Star Trek, but I think they said that the ideas is way too expensive to build. Excuse me, but anyway, again, drawing a landscape, but looking at like Hans Belmer again. So I'm gonna actually stand up. My voice might be a little bit louder because I can. That way I can tell if the video turns itself off. Again, just some of these like light drawings here, figure drawings. Reportage, character design, but yeah, I try to encourage artists to just try a lot of different things. You can always throw drawings away. These are just character designs. They always say give your characters areas of rest. There's no rest whatsoever in these drawings, and they're terrible. So yeah, you have to chill. Too much detail there, dude. Alright. These are some more of those Borg drawing ideas. I was using a lot of mirroring back then. which was something very addictive. I'm glad I don't do that anymore. Yeah, oh my god, brings me back. I like these drawings. Jeez. So weird. It was mixing a train with a cultural, kind of cloak there. Good times. Yeah, a lot of times you go through your old drawings and it's all just bad memories, but once in a while it'll be a good memory. This looks like Main Street at Disney. Photocopy, throw that away. So here's definitely me looking at Hans Belmer, trying to get a feeling for how he draws. Yeah, here's another one of these line drawings. I can't tell if this is a copy or the original, but I kind of like that one. Oh, God. I hate this stuff. Hate. I was trying to get into that layout style that do in animation. Hate. I'll tell you how much I hate this drawing. Hate. Okay. And then this, nothing that crazy about this drawing either, but trying to get something. Oh my god. Good times. So I was looking at H.R. Giger a little bit here and tried to come up with these ideas. This was a good direction. I remember my teacher not hated, but he wasn't very supportive of these drawings. But I think it was a good direction. I do. Oh my god. Hot pink. That'll wake you up. Jesus. Burning my eyeballs out here. And just some little figures. That's weird. You accumulate this stuff. Kind of like that one. I'm gonna kind of make like a quote good pile that I don't know why, but maybe I'll post them online or something like that. That was kind of fun. Okay. So yeah, I'm just kind of taking you guys through down memory lane, some more doodles and sketches. Sometimes I'm very interested, and I know that myself included, as artists, we tend to only post our good artwork. But it's kind of fun just to see, the bad stuff as well. Now, anything that's really bad, I would have thrown away. So this is all the stuff that I've saved. When I say all, I mean I have, hundreds of more drawings like these. But these are some of them. Look at this, me trying to do industrial design. Yeesh. Bad memories. Very bad memories. This is a cute little drawing here, like a reportage drawing. I kind of like that one. I used to like it. I still like it. That's garbage. I'll throw that away. Put it in the garbage pile. Wow, we're getting into some odd things here. So yeah, some of these need to go. Putting them in like a garbage pile, basically. So anyway, what I want to get to eventually is some more of the really young kind of high school drawings. I think those are kind of fun. Figure drawings, obviously. Now these are very light, so I'm not sure how well they're going to show up on the video camera. I guess I'll just go through and I can just edit it out. Ugh, what the hell is that? Terrible. I will edit. Oh, that's even worse. These drawings. Okay, these are going in the garbage. I will edit it out if the line work doesn't quite show up very well. Yeah. So, yeah, pretty cool. So yeah, we get into these like sections of just lots and lots. This is a photocopy. I can throw that away. Lots and lots of drawings, Feel free to take a break. Go take a coffee break. You don't have to look through every single thing, you know. Exaggerating the body, you know. Very exaggerated. It's interesting. I think sometimes when things get really extremely exaggerated, it might be just because of the music. This was, I think, high school. Yeah, this was, I think, high school. So, alrighty, this is another image from college. I think it was like junior year. I'm trying to figure out some kind of style or something. And I was redesigning Alice in Wonderland. So this is supposed to be Alice right here, you know, and then the checkerboard, and then there's this judge who's judging her. There's this big arm coming out here. It's totally very hard to read. And there's this character right here, very hard to read. And then kind of a jury right here. So anyway, I struggled with it. Didn't quite work, but there was something that I think started to percolate a little bit. So I pulled the camera back for some of these larger images. This was done in high school, airbrush. So I had to cut out Frisket and, you know, kind of color in these shapes. I was really interested in airbrush. Why? I don't know. Kind of cheesy. But I, you know, was interested in realism, I guess. And the realism that I can get now with ZBrush is much more satisfying than flat airbrush artwork. This is one I had done. Let me zoom in. Again, high school. Pretty embarrassing. But anyway, practicing realistic stuff. I know, it's cheesy. This one I was kind of happy with. This was a pen rendering. Ballpoint pen. I did this of Pat Benatar. So I must have been about 15, I think, 16. So at that point, I was, you know, practicing realistic rendering with pen, and yeah, I was able to get something that came out okay. I was really kind of happy with that one. This is another one. Now I got my camera. I can zoom in and out, which is helpful. Cheesy again, part airbrush and part drawing, super cheesy. But I think that this kind of led to some of the artwork I do now, which you may consider also cheesy. But anyway, I had no figure drawing experience at this time, so I was just drawing from photos and trying to turn it into something. So this is my, God, it's hard to look at this, but this is my very first attempt at a comic book. This is the first page. We got the robot, obviously 2 robots, still influenced by Star Wars, obviously, C-3PO and R2-D2. And, you know, when I drew this as a kid, I knew it was horrible. But this was my first attempt at a comic, and it took a million years later for me to get to the Zentropa project, where I was able to actually revisit this concept. Again, very sad stuff. This is me drawing from, influenced by Jeff Jones, which he's still, I still love his work a lot. And this was strange. This was done, I think it was 80, so I was 13 when I did these. And I think I just got lucky. But the thing is, I wish I could go back in time and tell myself, yeah, draw this way. So what I was doing is just drawing with a direct line. I was looking at photos of football players, but I was really pushing design. And I remember I showed this to a friend of mine. He didn't believe, he didn't do that, you're lying. But I did. And you can see the cheesy 70s coloring. But it was, if I could go back in time and say, yeah, do more of this, you're going in a good track, it would have worked out. But it just, you know, it's just kind of a lucky thing. This is another one from that same series, I guess. Right here. So, yeah, baseball. Anything that with me doing baseball or football, any type of sport, you know, it's done long ago, because I just don't have any interest whatsoever in sports. So, That's an indication that it was done in my young teen times. Another rendering, watercolor. I guess stuff is cheesy. Photorealistic rendering of porn. I guess they call it. Maybe not porn, but it's just a nude figure. But pretty cheesy, right? Can't get you any cheesier than that. This is, I was using a grid for a while, where you make a grid on a drawing and then you copy it based on the grid. And I remember I showed one of these, this one I can show you, in class, because I was kind of proud of it. I was probably 12 years old. And one of the students came up to me and said, "This isn't real drawing, you're just copying, you're cheating because of the grid." So I kind of took the wind out of my sails a little bit. And I would say, don't do that. If you're an artist or you think you're an artist and you want to discourage another artist, that's not really gonna do anything good for anybody involved. Now, the funny thing is, I wasn't discouraged, which is weird. A lot of negative comments I got when I was younger never discouraged me at all, where I know I've heard other people who have mentioned that they've gotten discouraged and basically given up art. It's weird. I just never took it too seriously when people said things like that, which is pretty often. I remember this was fun. This was the only drawing I think I've ever done that my grandfather liked. I grew up with my grandparents, and so I was always showing them artwork. And I think my grandfather especially would always shake his head and nod and smile, but you could tell he didn't like anything I did. But then when I did this one of kind of Linda Ronstadt, he really liked it a lot. So anyway, I'm glad I was able to do one thing that he liked. One of my cousin Trisha, I did this. I remember she fell asleep while I was doing it because it took so long to draw. Strangely enough, I think the heart and soul of the drawing is probably one of the best drawings I've ever done, still to this day. There was something about it that I somehow felt like I was able to capture back then. This is another one using the grid, except this time instead of drawing it, I decided to just color in the grid with squares, and just playing around with that. So even back then when I was a kid, I was always interested in mixed media and experimenting. These two drawings are very interesting. This was a rendering that I had done in college. I was getting into photorealistic rendering of this kind of nude figure. This drawing took me 90 hours to draw all this fruit and stuff. There's some kind of symbolism in there. It's stupid. This is stupid. This is stupid. Everything is stupid. But I put a lot of work into it, 90 hours. And I remember at the end of sophomore year, I was looking at all the work on the wall. We had survey, and I remember looking at it and thinking, man, I put all this work into my art, and it's not showing. All those hours are not showing. And I was really kind of depressed when I looked at that work. And during the summer, I thought about it, and I got really angry at myself about what I was doing and the cheesy artwork that I was making and stuff like that. So the next semester, junior year, I started doing this type of work where instead of taking 90 hours to do an illustration, I would do the illustration in 5 minutes. So it was such and when I looked at the work recently, I was like, wow, it was such a kind of like crazy transitional time for me to go from the airbrush. All my teachers hated that stuff anyway, but to jump into this type of thing, studying under my teacher Dave Pazzalacqua and stuff, and just trying to fight all that high school stuff was part of junior year, and there's a lot of anger, a lot of tears, a lot of laughs, and at the end of the semester, I looked at all the work and I really was blown away. I liked it. There was a lot of energy and life to it and stuff, and so that pretty much changed me from that point on as an artist. It's weird. So anyway, yeah. So I just wanted to kind of go through some of these little doodly diddles that I've been kind of uncovering in my archives right here. Now the funny thing is, some more drawings, is that my drawing in the past week has gotten a lot better since I've been making these videos. So this might be something for all of you to think about, is you might want to just give yourself a chance to go through your artwork and critique yourself. Say what you feel is good or bad or whatever. And then that can kind of focus your mind on what you're doing now. This is from the other series, concept design based on culture. I still like this page. It was a good time. It was a really good time for me. This is probably not quite as good a time, but I started getting into these kind of pen and ink concept drawings and things like that. I missed the crayon. I got to get back to that crayon real soon. I don't know if you can see, it's very, very light. But these are drawings I had done after working at Disney, going back to my drawing teacher, Dave Pozlakowin, showing him my work and him telling me that my figure drawings are too cartoonish. And he said, you're not drawing as good as you should be for your age. And I really took that to heart. And when I went back he told me to focus on the hands, really focus on the hands, which I did. I really slowed down. The first thing I would draw is the hands and stuff like that. Then my drawing got much more serious and much better. So that was a really great piece of advice that I would say for you guys. If you want to make your drawing better, focus on those hands. All right. So anyway, another figure drawing here. Here's me. This is probably freshman year of college when I first started looking at Egon Schiele. I was copying Egon Schiele. Oh God, this is horrible. Look at this. Me drawing perspective. I hate perspective. I don't believe in perspective. I don't think perspective really exists. And I'm very vehement about that. And I'm going to write a book someday, entitled Perspective Doesn't Exist. Because it doesn't. It's just something someone made up. Yeah. Oh, here's something kind of cute. There's just some of the very first creature designs I've ever done, right out of school. It's kind of crazy that I saved these. It's a little drawing of my poor cat. She passed away a while ago. This is Sheba, one of my favorite creatures of all time. Good friend of mine. Children's book illustration stuff that I had done. When I got out of school, you try to get any work you can get. And children's book was some of the stuff that I had done. I hated it. I hate children's books. I hate doing any work for children. And I said after doing this, I will never, ever do this again. I never did. They leave children's book art for people who like doing that type of stuff. Not me. Figure drawing. There's some figure drawing. This was almost like blind contour figure drawing, which I thought was kind of fun. This was my card that I made senior year at Pratt. My promo card had my name on it. I showed it to my teacher. He hated it. Now I realize why he hated it. Before, I think I realized the reason he hated it because he knew that I thought this was my style, right? And because of that, he realized that there was so much more growth that I needed as an artist to settle into this and let this be the only thing that I do for the rest of my life was a really bad choice. So I think he was correct. And I did continue to kind of try to grow as much as I can and not just do these characters. This is high school. It's embarrassing. This was in my portfolio, I think, or almost in my portfolio when I applied to Pratt, So back then, anyone could get in. That was the rumor. They just let anyone in, basically, freshman year. But then sophomore year, they body slam you. They give you so much work. You work your butt off. So it's only the serious people survive second year. So the first year is just foundation. So you could have really god-awful work like this, and they'll throw you through foundation year, and you see if you can sink or swim. And then sophomore year, you pick a major, and then you really have to work hard. You can't just do this type of crap and survive there. So, yeah, for better or worse, that's the way it was. At least that's what I heard, and that's kind of the way I see it. Sketches. You can see my work was a little bit, I was trying to get into line, and just practicing and stuff like that. Let's see what else. We're almost at the end here. This is Super Cheese. Okay, this is sophomore year. Embarrassing. But it's good to make this video so I can remember how horrible things were back in the day. Let me make sure it's in focus. Okay, so this is, the video stopped, I'll start again. So this is a illustration I did sophomore year. The assignment was to do, I guess, these different categories, which is a kleptomaniac, pyromaniac, egomaniac, insomniac, and hypochondriac. So, not using any reference, obviously, garbage. Colored pencil rendering, garbage. The whole thing is horrible. And I think the thing is, and my teacher Pazlak would say later on next year, is how can you get your figure drawing, what you can draw, into your illustration, and not to think of illustration as something separate from your life drawing. So this was, I can't even imagine that I drew this, but yeah, this is where the level I was at sophomore year in college. So, what I'm saying? I had a lot to learn. It started off practically at the bottom. Here's some, looking at, this is my senior year. I was taking Kent Williams' illustration class and tried to get into some of the stuff that he was talking about, Right, so anyway, and then just more drawings here. I'm just going to flip through these pretty quickly. In fact, I can just put the pile on top of here. But yeah, these are just other drawings that I like that one. Other drawings that I've saved, looking at different types of cultures, looking at the church, ideas for that. This is my very first drawing of a car engine, and this opened up the doors to me basically getting into science fiction and stuff, looking at car engines. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure it was in focus now. So I found this burnt out car as I was walking to work in Brooklyn, and because they do blow up cars in the middle of the night. But anyway, it was a really great piece of reference, so I stopped. I think I just had my sketchbook, and it just kind of, something about this one drawing really changed me. Figure drawing, some reportage work here, drawing people, like silliness. I forgot about this. That's crazy. This one is, I guess, I forgot about this drawing. This is the Crystal Palace at Disney World. So it's just, practicing drawing, practicing kind of like this fisheye lens type of thing. Actually, this drawing isn't terrible. I don't remember why I disliked it so much. Maybe I just didn't want the people to look so cartoony. But anyway, drawing of my friend Heidi Lanino. She was Lanino back then. People. This is funny. We had a chance to go to draw the cadavers at the Columbia University for anatomy class. So I was drawing these dead people and stuff, and I drew one drawing of the creature kind of coming to life, and I was giggling, and the teacher basically threw me out of class, saying that I was being very disrespectful to the dead. Anyway. And then starting getting into these little squares, a lot of little squares. I did this for quite a while. I was into these little squares, little compositions. Oh God. This was my biggest problem, is I had these ideas, you know, this woman here and this tree, but I just couldn't figure out a way to kind of finish it and take it to a kind of a completed thing. Now I build it in ZBrush, you know, and then light it, then bring it into Photoshop and kind of work on top of that, and I could make it realistic or more like line drawing with the aid of ZBrush. Yeah, people in class, people drawing other people. And yeah, then these really kind of thin line drawings. They don't want to take photos of these. People seem to like these and put them online. And I have a whole bunch of these. They're hard to see though, I think, because of the fact that there's line work. But I'll go through them anyway. So these were the series of drawings where I really slowed down and tried to draw better. I guess if you call that draw better, whatever that means. But yeah, just kind of slowing down, you know, and just kind of having some fun with some figures. So anyway, I think that's it. I can stop the video now. It's starting to get incredibly repetitive. But thanks so much for taking a look, and I will be putting up other videos in the future. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.